Hi, I'm Dr. Suvarchala, Scientific Director with ZIVA Fertility Centers. Today, let's try to understand the process of ovulation in a woman's body. Before that, you need to understand that a woman is born with all the eggs that she's going to need during her reproductive period. It could be eggs that are ovulating, that is releasing for her to get pregnant, or eggs that are not ovulating, growing and degenerating. So there are very few eggs that actually ovulate during her reproductive period. So what happens every month is very important to understand when you're trying to plan for pregnancy. Inside the ovaries are all the eggs present which are going to either have a chance to ovulate or they are not going to ovulate and degenerate and die. So every month, under the influence of hormones, follicle stimulating hormone FSH and estrogen, eggs start growing, around 15 to 20 eggs depending upon the ovarian reserve of the woman. Around 15 to 20 eggs start growing under the influence of these hormones and only one becomes dominant. So let's try to see what's happening here. Actually, all the eggs are in the stage of primordial follicles, primary follicles. These are like a sleeping stage where they are still very immature. But under the influence of the hormones that I talked about, there is a recruitment of some follicles which then start growing. As they keep growing, only one will take up all the follicle stimulating hormone and become dominant, also called as the secondary follicle, which becomes a mature follicle as the influence of these hormone increases. Once the egg has grown to the right size, it ruptures under the influence of the hormone, luteinizing hormone. Now this is a very important step and this leads to the rupture of an egg. Once the egg is ruptured and is waiting in the tubes, if sperms are present, fertilization occurs. If sperms are not present, fertilization doesn't occur and the egg that is waiting in the tubes then degenerates. This is not the only reason for fertilization to not occur. It could also mean that there is some defect in the egg itself, or maybe the tubes are blocked and that's why the sperms could not reach into the fallopian tubes. But that's a topic for another video. So what's happening inside the ovary is the area, the follicle from which the egg has ruptured now begins to collapse. But it has a very critical role to play here. It releases a hormone called progesterone, which is very, very important for the endometrial lining to grow. It becomes thick, it becomes rich in blood flow, nutrients, enzymes, which are very important for implantation of the embryo. So the progesterone, which is released from the follicle that has ruptured, is now called as corpus luteum. So the progesterone which is released from here acts on the endometrium, the lining of the uterus, to help in implantation. All this is happening if fertilization has occurred inside the tube, and around 5 days later, once the embryo travels down into the uterus, then implantation is brought forth. So this is a very critical thing for you to understand and plan your pregnancy, because if you have regular periods, then you need to chalk your dates of periods, because you will ovulate 14 to 15 days before your period every cycle. Whether it is 28 days or 32 days, ovulation occurs about 14 to 15 days before every period. So if you can make an average of your cycle of your menstruation, it is then very easy for you to plan pregnancy naturally. Otherwise, if you're not, even after proper planning, then further investigations need to be performed. If you want to understand more about this, please feel free to contact us. Thank you. A lot of effort has gone into making this video. Please like and subscribe us. Thank you.